And dear guests and dear colleagues, we continue, of course, to hear here and also, I guess, every day in our homes about this unjustified war, the attack on our neighbors and friends in Ukraine. Every village in Ukraine has been touched by grief, and every country, I think I can say, has been touched by sadness and anger when you see refugees leaving, when you see homes destroyed, schools destroyed, but above all, lives being destroyed. Every loss is a sign that we have to remain united, and this is also a message which has been given to us by others, including President Buzek, that we have to remain united against this aggression. And, as has also been mentioned, we have to fight against falling into the trap of fatigue. It's very easy to take the war as something which now is an everyday occurrence, but we need to keep in front of us the huge loss of lives that are taking place, and we cannot forget the huge harm that is taking place right next door. And we need to continue to prevail, to fight against this, because this war will go down in history as the symbol of the power of democracy over autocracy. I have a still very vivid image in my mind of the 9th of May of this year. The 9th of May, which is Europe Day, together with my colleague Oliver and also with President Christa Schwenk, we were in Strasbourg celebrating Europe Day. And we were celebrating it through dialogue and through collaboration. At the same time, in Russia, we saw huge military parades. And I think the contrast is clear for all to see. We need, therefore, to give Ukrainians the perspective that their country will be able to rise again and to build again from the ashes. Dear ladies and gentlemen, 4 months of fighting in Ukraine has brought staggering levels of destruction, as I mentioned, of various homes, hospitals, and other institutions. A recent estimate from the European Investment Bank put the cost of rebuilding at 1 trillion euros. It is estimated that at least, and I'll give you some figures, 45 million square meters of housing has been destroyed, over 300 enterprises, 656 medical institutions, 1,177 educational institutions have already been destroyed or damaged. With millions of Ukrainians displaced and the country's infrastructure in ruins, Ukraine on its own will be unable to support itself for years, possibly decades to come. An impoverished or dysfunctional state, the size and importance of Ukraine on Europe's border, will be vulnerable to future aggression and a continued source of economic and political instability. We therefore must prevent such an outcome, and this will require the democratic world to finance much of the country's reconstruction. Just, and I emphasize this, just as the US did in Europe after World War II with the Marshall Plan. So even as the conflict rages, the EU and other Western governments must continue in putting this effort together. As the Employers Group, we had started engaging on the issue of Ukraine in March, and with our Ukrainian partners, we have been discussing how, in practical terms, we can, especially through our interaction with other institutions, assist in the situation. We also have a number of members in the Employers Group who are providing very practical help even in Ukraine itself. The European Investment Bank proposed to create a new Ukraine Trust Fund with investments from EU and non-EU states could eventually swell to 100 billion euros. Certainly not enough, but it can be an initial fund which can swell as conditions allow for investors to move into Ukraine and allow the country to rebuild. Indeed, beyond emergency reconstruction work, we should help Ukraine lay the foundation for sustainable future growth. And this includes diversifying away from fossil fuels, eventually upgrading nuclear facilities, building renewable energy resources, and further integrating into Europe's electricity transmission grid. It will also mean access to financing for small and medium-sized enterprises. And there's an aspect which is not often mentioned because we talk about infrastructure, but we also must talk about SMEs in Ukraine. Together with the Executive Director, Anna Derevianko, from the European Business Association in Ukraine, and President Gennady Shishov, who is here in front of me, from the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we have signed together a joint letter which we have sent to the European Commission. The letter is an urgent call to save Ukrainian SMEs now, as waiting for the war to end, it will be too late. Based on the expertise of our Ukrainian partners, and I wish to thank Gennady here who's in front of me, we underlined the necessity for targeted support through a number of actions, such as facilitating access to finance and further promoting important initiatives such as the Supply Chain Resilience Platform. SMEs are a vital part of Ukrainians' economy and society, just as they are in the European Union. And we need to keep them alive so that they can act as the basis for Ukraine's future economic development and the driver of reconstruction after the war. I will conclude, dear friends, by saying it would indeed be very easy to criticize the fact that we are here today. It is very easy. It would also be very easy to say that we are just delivering words in a situation where concrete action is needed. I would, however, strongly disagree with such criticism. We are here because we are angry and we are sad. We are here because we want to signal to our politicians and indeed our Ukrainian friends that organized civil society will not give up on Ukraine. We are here because we want to deliver a message of hope and unity, a message that together we will prevail and indeed give Ukraine and its people a stronger future. Thank you very much.